So part of why I wanted to do is because obviously it's been a very big week for not only the matriarchs, but the tribe in general, right? For the whole, for the collective, for everyone. It's the Virgo full moon, which is the big mama moon. You know, I have on my blue and my sunflower because I have to represent Yay, right? And Oshun, right? So, you know, I'm representing my divine mothers because I am a child of Yay and of Yai, La Sarita, and Israel, Tor's child, and many others. So I'm going to bring my mother lines in with me on this beautiful Virgo moon because I have to represent the mother line. And also some of the divine masculines of Rachel said, hey, don't forget about us. Like, what this mean to us? And I was like, oh, trust me, we know it's big. It's the tribe. It's the tribe. So that's why I'm about my eye, right? Because, you know, I'm also from the house of Aset, of which I call Isis. So, you know, I keep the scales in my hand. You know, that's why I come in. Chosi stays by the door. You know, Chosi don't never miss his target. So, you know, I keep the scales in. So that's why we got the masculine and feminine energy in, so we can discuss. So the Virgo full moon, which came in officially at 7:28 this rising, right, at 5, the number 5 degrees, right? And I think that's an interesting number and energy, right? I sent in a lot of knocks to you, Chief, on some of the animals or things that have washed ashore since the matriarchs have done our things. And I kind of want
to water.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just let you have that part. So let's let the Chief break down, because that's why I sent you the knocks on the animals. Before we even get to the astrology, let's just talk about the receipts. Because, you know, we bring a receipt.
You know, the chart, if you go on my page, you'll see me breaking down playing cards and what they mean in political arena. And the shark is the symbol for the card player, the card shark. But it's really the shark. But everybody say shark, right? The dolphin is the flipper, the cold flipper, right? So when you see the shark washed up, that means that the card game is over.
Game over.
Yeah, that's the symbol of the cleansing waters, the ocean waters. Yimmy ya, oh yeah, cleaning the deep sea. And that's why they seeing great white sharks bit in half. Those are the other sharks in the game. So now the game over. And the dolphin is the flipper that came out on top when he exposed Moby Dick as the great white whale, which turned out to be the little white lie.
Yes, yes.
And the little white lie was the slave narrative that they gave us from Notre Dame, the Dame of the North. And the Dame of the North is the frozen woman. She's frozen in her position because she's made out of ice, an ice statue. And the ice is ice. So when the ice start icing, then ice is ice. So Isis is the ice princess. And the ice princess being the Dame of the North, and she have her city set up as the great Parthenon of Isis. But the French usurped her, so they built the tower to tell them where I fell, right? And then they sent us a statue to commemorate who we fell to, a fucking drag queen, pretending to be feminine, right? So we fell to the drag queen, and we had a drag race across the land. It was just a cannonball run, which was a scavenger hunt, right? And we had to pick up all of the pieces in order to put the puzzle together to tell the story. And the story is, in my literature, say who did it, where they come from, what they do, why they do it, and how did they get it done.
Right.
So we told them. They came in off the 32-degree Scottish Rite, flying kings off the checkerboard, landed on the Queensland, Australia. The irony is the first WWE event ever that was a pay-per-view aired today at 5 a.m. Eastern time. Okay? 5 means change. 55 means about face, and 555 means the change is complete. So we just need one more 5. right? So when we put it all together, the headline is two women wrestlers in the first pay-per-view in the Queensland. Checkmate.
Checkmate. And this Virgo moon came in at 5 degrees. Checkmate at 7, 2, and 8. Yes. Right.
So a lot of people just watching and they don't know what they're seeing. I'm gonna tell them just flat out. Y'all looking at the matriarchal takeover.
Right.
Mama boys got mama shit back and put it all in order so when mama come home, we can give her what belonged to her. Mama home. I told you she was coming. Now she here. And all her daughters is rejoicing around the world. All you gotta do is keep your social media.
I've been sharing the receipts, and if you add up even the 7, 2, and 8, it adds up to like a 17. Which if you add up the 1 and 7, that's an 8, right? And then it's already coming in at 5 degrees. And then you know that Virgo is technically in their astrology the 9th sign, although we know it's not 12 signs, but 9 is the number of completion and perfection, right? And I was sharing with you this week. I said, "Chi." You know, because I'm obviously a lot with Yimiyan Lasserine, so I represent a lot of the ocean water. So my tears have always been very salty ever since I was a little girl. And the older I've gotten, especially the last couple years, they've gotten less saltier, but they've always been very salty. And this week, matter of fact, a couple days ago, I think it was yesterday, for the first time, my tears were not salty. And I said, my tears have never not been salty. They were clear. And you was like, yeah, yep, you said that means that it's complete, that my sweet and my salt water is, because I said my tears have always been very salty since I was a little girl. I said when I was a little girl, they were very, very salty. I said, but as I've been doing my shadow work and my work, it got clear. But after we did our matriarchal for the first time in these years of my 4 and 5, 45th year, which is my 9th, because 9 is completion and perfection. They are finally, they are no longer salty.
Okay, so now Smokey Robinson, Hayoka, High Chief on the land, from the land, born of the land. Right? He made the song Tears of a Clown. The Hayoka. The Hayoka is the priest who endures the suffering to redeem the righteous from the oppressive regimes of the wicked. Right? So the tears of a clown, what's in the tear? The tear, right, it's the salt, it's the cortisol, right? It's all of those things that you have to purge in the tears of the clown before the Hayoka clown can stop clowning around with the underground.
Right.
That's a Tupac knot. Remember? When he first came on the scene in his first video, he told him, I clown around when I hang around with the underground.
I get around, and I will have an underground knock for you about that one, because see, another sign of Virgo, according to Greek mythology, which we know Greek is mixing in with the whole Anunnaki stuff, but you know, Persephone represents for the Virgo. And if anybody knows the story, like a lot of people like to throw the word, you're narcissist, but do you really know where it comes from? From the narcissism flower, right? So it happened allegedly because, you know, her father, who was Zeus, had promised her to Hades. And so she was reaching down for this beautiful flower, which we know is the dandelion, right? The dandelion, and the sunflowers. And so she was swallowed up with the black chariot that had came in, and she had to go into the underground. And her mother, Demeter, who was like, I am not resting till I find my daughter. Like the mother would not rest till she got her daughter. And so like Zeus literally had to step in, because he had Gaia. That's why I don't call this earth Gaia, because he had Gaia, which, you know, is not as Tiamat, plant the flowers to trick her. It was a usurp, right? And so her mother wouldn't stop resting. That's why they claim they had the 4 seasons. But she had to be stuck there. And then he made her eat either 4 or 6 of the pomegranates, right? And what that means is when you eat, that's why they say you don't always eat off of everybody's table. See, we in Hoodoo know that you don't eat everybody's food. That's why we say you don't take everybody's food. You don't go in everybody's homes. So because she ate from his table, right, then she had to be begotten to come back to his dominion, his home. So that was allegedly why she had to go. She could go with her mother about 4 to 6 months a year. Then she had to be with him even through the negotiations. So with all of the wells and all that stuff coming up, it's also showing that rain is up, because she never really wanted to even be there. So to me, that's also a closing knock from that mythical story, which we know where it comes from, because it comes from a coded message of what really happened.
So when they talk about the underground, when you go read in the mythologies, the underground is the underworld, and the underworld is the world that's in the upside down.
Yes. Stranger Things for you younger kids that watch Stranger Things. Okay.
Yeah.
I have one kid
So
about to bring that anime Stranger Things.
so the when they talk about the underground, they're talking about the realm of earth, what they call Midgard, right? But you got 4 gates. Right. But the mother sits dead center from all 4 gates. So you need 4 chiefs, 4 high chiefs to set up north, south, east, and west in order to flip the map back to its right position, with the Queensland being on top.
Right.
And the Confederates said that the South will rise again. They don't know the South is the symbol of the matriarchy and the return of the queen to the land. And Australia is the Ashanti stool, which is the symbol of the mothers that ruled in Africa, but it's also the symbol of the mothers that rule around the world. Microcosm, macrocosm.
Yes.
So if you want to restore balance back to earth, the ancestors told us there will be no balance until what? The great mother is placed back on her throne.
Right.
We can't, ain't gonna be no balance if we don't do that. So my mission for the last 5 years is to systematically use the oral tradition of the ancient tribes to speak a thing into existence, to follow the path, to unite the sisters, to bring the great mother back to her seat. Right. And if I'm successful, she gonna find me, because she gonna see me doing mama's work. So when in the Bible, when they tell you that Jesus was about his father's business is to whoop your ass. His mama's business is to cultivate the land and the people.
Right.
So whose work was he really doing when you listen and they talk about cultivating the people, developing the spiritual assets within the soul of the individual, right? They don't know Jesus is ISIS.
That's right.
And they don't know that they switched the gender of all of the gods so that we would be confused about who is truly God. So when they say God coming as a man, I said, no, the God man is the man that's going to tell you that the woman is God. And they don't show you what he's talking about. So we cashed all the receipts.
Right. And that's why you notice when they say that story, when he says, I'm about my father's business, he was at 12, which is the number 12. And even if you know about our original schools of Jehudi or Thoth, right? You know, we had our schools and we were very much about balance. That's why they called it right brain, left brain. Matter of fact, I was teaching in my astrology class this week. And in our schools, we had you learn what they now call the feminine principles, because you cannot go learning all the mathematics and all that until you know how to tap into self. How do you know how to feel your intuition and what we call your chakras, your third eyes, all of those things that really are balanced before you learn the others. But here, that's why they forced those children who were left-handed, right, to want to make them right-handed, because they wanted to tap into that other mind, because they wanted to keep us so root chakra based, because they didn't want us to get up and down our spine to really learn into the full 720 degrees of the true knowledge. They wanted us to stay in our lower root chakras and just be very base, because if you really know about chakras, you know chakras are tied to the planets. Planets are tied to the megahertz frequencies. That's why they control the music, they control the televisions, they control the school and educational systems. And so that's why I say, until you over and understand astronomy and astrology, you can't over and understand anything, because it's all wrapped in whether you think or know it affects you or not. Right? That's why, you know, we're closing cycles, like in what they call now Vedic astrology. It's Badasha and Radush. He's the one, or she's the one that gives what they call the wealth. It's the year of 8. It's the year of the dragon. It's the year of change. Though this is the year that, you know, those who have businesses or the money wealth is flipping over, of that who was wicked is coming over. So that's why you have to really study all of it.
And those are complements, because people thought they were separate sciences. Just like they think that numerology and gematria is separate.
Right.
One of them, gematria, teaches you to read numbers.
Right.
But you can't translate them yet. Numerology teaches you how to translate numbers into words. So that the binary code can paint a picture in a computer that look like you really looking at the person you think you're looking at, but you're really looking at a series of ones and zeros, alphas and omegas. Beginnings meeting end. So they tying all of these loops in our face behind our back because we don't know what they're talking about. Right? So I just sit back and learn what they're talking about by observation. And then I find where they hid the secrets. And then they said if they want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book, but I'm not a nigga. So I went to see what they was hiding from niggas.
Right. I'm a nerd. I like real books. Like, I'm a nerd. I need to get all the books, the knowledge, like how they've only wanted to teach only what they call was Tantra or Taekwondo. You know, they didn't want to talk about the Tai Chis, or, you know, they didn't want to talk about all of the other things because they didn't want you to know all of what they call the secret knowledges. Like, even what they have now labeled only Reiki is not really Reiki, it's energy healing. They don't want to tell you that it wasn't only for healing, it was also a weapon of warfare. That's why I always tell you again in high AT. We wasn't worried about no guns and knives. We have, you know, what they have now called voodoo, which is just a sacred science. That's all it literally means with spirit. Science. It's literally science. So we wasn't worried about that. They needed bullets. They was trying to do that. We wasn't concerned about all those things. What they call now mudras. We could do certain things, hold a position for 3 or 5 minutes, heal bodies, do certain weapons, protect yourself, things they call mudras, or I mean, not mudras, but sigils. Those are things that we knew how to open portals and gateways and doorways. So those are things that we already just knew how to do.
So when we talk about voodoo and you talk about it being a science, it's the science of first finding the balance in the self.
That's right.
Right? And then link yourself to nature.
Yes, right.
Because once you link to nature, you naturally spread your balance throughout the natural world. And the natural world just so happened to be the feminine realm that they call the dark realm. Because it's ruled by the dark mother. Who is the dark mother? She is the black what?
What they call it. Or Lilith. Or Lilith in other astrology, the one that they hide from.
And she was usurped by the moon. Lilith was usurped by the placement of the moon. Because at nighttime, we used to have black light effect on all of those flowers that you see those colors in the daytime. The Lilith moon made them do something else at night. And women didn't have a menstrual cycle unless they call forth to birth a child. They'll do a 2-month cleansing. And in the 3rd month, they'll copulate to produce the child.
Yep, and that's how we also keep our life longer too. Like, that's why we kept our energy in life. People don't know, just like how when we say men have semen retention, do semen retention, and I do that. Women, we weren't like bleeding all the time. Like, I haven't made myself have cycles every month since I was 26. I don't have to do that. Like, once I learned that sacred science, I don't bleed every month for what? You see what I'm saying? So that's why people are like, you look younger than your age, because I don't like emit my life force every month. And so a lot of women, they don't recognize that we can control our bodies. If you feel you're in an unsafe place, you don't have to keep having those children by the wrong person. Like, everybody don't deserve a seed. Some of these bloodlines needed to stop, you know, and some we did bring one on the earth so we could stop them, so that they wouldn't produce anymore.
Yeah. So, you know, in the declaration where it says the mitochondrial scans the Y chromosome for defects, but this is what you're talking about, because the men, when we come in order for us to find our balance, the mother's got to balance the Y chromosome, the uterus first. That's why all zygotes begin to be female, because she can't pass you as a male with certain defects in the Y chromosome that the mitochondrial is already programmed to combat. But now we got new elements added. So what happened? At the Mahuta, the women get source codes.
Right.
If we restore in balance, the source codes that the women have is also in the earth. And when the sun shines on the earth, earth sends back from its core a frequency that tells what the source code said, and then the solar rays come in to give us the corrective energy to correct all of the Y chromosomes to balance out the men. And this is called the restoration of the gender contract.
Right, right.
The men can't restore the contract if we don't put the women back in their place.
That's it, I'm telling you. So look, I'm going to share some with them too. Well, two things. I'm gonna get in, and I want you to break them down. Number one, you know, we always say root workers. Why do we say root workers? Because I want to bring it up because you brought up about the trees, and Virgo is supposed, you know, it's an earth sign. It deals with the roots, right? As above, so below. So you're a root worker because you got to know the trees. You got to work with the roots. And on the masculine energy, that's part of why, like if you're looking at Ogun or somebody, you know, or Chosi, those who are in the force, you work with the roots, right? So that is why the whole root work, you have to be in tune with nature. That's why they disconnected us from nature. That's why they wanted to give us the shoes with the rubbers. That's why they wanted to bring us in, bring the false lights, have these, I call even our homes really are caskets, right? Because they wanted to put us in these square boxes and just not give us our energy. If you look at what they called TPs or whatever, it was things that allowed us to breathe more. So I wanted you to kind of break that down too, because
I'm
we
glad
talked about that.
you brought up teepees because then if you're watching the media, they got you believing we lived in teepees.
Right, right.
The teepee to us is the same as a camper going with a tent.
Right, what is the camp? Well, because like I camped with my kids, right? Because I have two boys, so I camped with my kids all the time.
Okay, so when we go camping, we build the tent.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at the lay of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Big Mama called all tribes on deck to fight the Gullah Wars. We traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And in the course of the travels, we had to set up encampments at certain locations
Right.
for the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they go back and backtrack behind us, Lewis and Clark,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
and then they see we not in the castles.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't in the castles because we on our way to Florida.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when they get back to D.C., right, they tell D.C. there's no royalty on the land because ain't nobody in the castles.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so this is when they assert the jurisdiction over the tribe during the warfare to usurp us. Right. So once they usurp us, and then they stretch their jurisdictional authority onto across the Appalachians that was never supposed to go in the first place. Right. You got to earn your right to live in the mainland, in the heartland.
That's why it's not a lot of, you still notice now, it's still not a lot of population there.
Yeah.
If you look at the old original maps, you will see that that place is still blank, even in the old maps before they have the new ones. You can tell.
Because there was only certain people that was authorized to settle in the heartland.
Right.
Newcomers had to first go through a trial period. They failed miserably. This is what Elijah Muhammad called the judgment of America. All of our ancestors emerging out of the civil rights struggle are the watchers of the misery being inflicted as these people go through a catharsis, just like you went through with your tears, to build the bridge over the troubled waters. The troubled waters is the salt waters, right? In order to go get the keys, and the keys is the Florida keys where they came in at.
That's right. That's why it's the finish line.
So now we have to reverse engineer everything they done on our way back into power. This is how the last become first again.
That's right.
Right? They didn't have no sympathy. They dished it out. We took it. We took it in every form that they dished it out. But we don't know because they have the controllers of history are the victors of the wicked system. So they don't tell you that we over here suffering because some motherfuckers in Europe was oppressing people so bad and eating their babies and using their babies for sex toys because they was a different skin tone.
That's right.
Right. And they thought that we would never figure it out over here if they pretend to be us because we have both got nappy hair and brown skin. But when they got over here, Big Mama said the good got to suffer with the bad. The same thing y'all did to them people, right? Them people gonna do the same shit to you. So now you look back in the history books and they give you this victimized narrative of how they barbecued us, fricasseed us, fried us. But we don't know that we are we suffering with the ones who did the dirt.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they the ones who did that shit to them other people.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Right? So now the ones from the land is suffering because the ones that
Mm-hmm.
came to the land brought their victims and blocked the
That's right.
institutions with it.
Because they was that was they slave. Yep.
But we don't know how to read history because in the school system, we under the Rockefeller controlled narrative
Come
of the
on now.
slave trade.
Come on. Come on.
So
Come on now.
the
With that
the
Boston Tea Party,
Rockefellers and the
because that
Rothschilds, right? These are the ones
mm-hmm.
that they was using to block the institutions.
On the
They don't got
Eastern
no
Shore.
problem. They don't got no
Mm-hmm.
problem giving it back. The only problem is you can't give it back to the wrong people.
Period. Because we're gonna figure this shit out.
Yep. So the
And
only
then we
reason
had some ancestors so cold. We had some ancestors so cold that said, "Oh, so you think you want to come in and trick us, not honor treaties, steal land, infiltrate? You want to infiltrate? You want to play the infiltrate game? Oh, we can play the infiltrate game back." So we had some ancestors, talking about your grandmas and a lot of y'all great grandmas in the tribe that joined their Masonic orders, that joined their Eastern Star, so they could go get their stuff, get their books, get all the financial records and rights and information, break all the codes down, go in there and do their rituals backwards, mess their stuff up, so they could help get the memory wiped out. So they, just like how they came in and infiltrated and did the sweetheart clauses and things like that. Trust me when I tell you, y'all great grandmas who you think that didn't speak good English. Oh no, it's the ones. See, that's why we like being in the South, because they think we dumb and uneducated. But those is the smartest ones you gonna ever run into, because that's the ones that they, and see, that's why even some of the ones that don't look like us and they be right with us better than the ones that look like us and don't be us, because they the ones that give you a lot of information and to help you out and tell you a lot of the stuff, and return things back to you because they already know what was going on. So when I say your great grandmas and grandmas that you think ain't educated because you think they got a fifth or sixth grade education or none at all, oh, those are the coldest ones that you will ever run into. The biggest warriors, your grandfathers and great grandfathers, those are the soldiers. Because when I say it's a cold game and we couldn't have made it without them, and it's been a marathon and they passed that baton, we couldn't have made it without them, period. So y'all keep thinking that they was weak or not smart. No, they came in like they were very shielded. They seemed like they was timid, like they didn't know, because they was going in getting the information, stealing them books, getting them codes. You talking about some root women laying them roots in them houses like they acting like they was cleaning. They was doing some stuff. Trust me when I tell you.
So you can find meaning in the suffering, or you can suffer in vain. But to find the meaning in the suffering removes the vanity, and the vanity is what the veil sit on. So you got the veil on the vanity. You get out of your vain pursuits, and then you look for the cause. We didn't go through this shit just to be going through it.
Come on now.
Right? This wasn't just we eternal beings.
That's right.
We allow the people as the gods to live the source, live into the entropy, right? It's to the point where society is falling into chaos. This is why they always talking about order out of chaos. The entropy had to get so bad that now we have to fix the system before we can start a new age. Right? And the only way to fix the system is restore the matriarchs. Right? And we at the new age. And the matriarchs rising with the coming of spring.
Yes.
Right? And so the spring is the symbol for the return of the sweet waters that brings forth the green foliage and vegetation. All of the mysteries is all in the children's stories, and it's all in the mythology, and it conceals the science as a conceptual physics formula. Right? It's still mathematics.
It is.
Right? But the people get so caught in their emotions, they can't see the mathematics. That means they'll never see from God's perspective. is a positive and negative polarity.
Mm-hmm.
When the pendulum swings to the negative polarity, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
It's still within the spectrum. So you have to go through a negative phase and a positive phase,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now the pendulum is swinging back from the negative, complete pole negative, to the positive, complete pole positive, but you have to go through the phases in the middle. This is
Right.
called following the process,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is also the protractor that you draw circles with in school,
Right.
which represents your Masonic tools for
Yes.
navigates.
The compass. Yes, they do. Yes, they
Yep,
do.
a compass in the square.
Square. Yep. And that's why I say stand on your square. That's why
Right.
we call it standing on business.
Now, when you say protractor, that's somebody who draws something out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we was in a protracted struggle. So the struggle was already drawn out for us to go through.
Right.
Right? And the struggle was boxed in, which requires the use of the square.
Right.
So all four corners of the square is folded to the middle, and the outline looks like a cross.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So when the outline look like a cross, you have to flip the corners back out. It's a four-corner shuffle.
Shuffle. Mm-hmm.
The four-corner shuffle is a 4X flip. A 4X flip is motherland, fatherland, daughter. The female.
Right.
In the four-corner shuffle, in the streets, as a clan, is called a four-corner hustler.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mm-hmm.
the vice lord.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? And the vice lords, we call them Vicky Lou.
Vicky Lou. Yep. Yep. Vicky Lou. Mm-hmm.
Right? And they call the GDs Joe.
Yep.
Joe mean coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the coffee chief is getting a message from Big Mama House from the vice lord's chief that we calling Vicky Lou.
Mm-hmm.
But what the VL is the compass in the square.
Mm-hmm.
L flip 7. When you thought I was losing, I was just waiting to flip the L to the 7 so you knew I was winning. The triple sevens is a jackpot. And X marks the spot. So in order to get the jackpot, you got to flip the four-corner shuffle off of Vice Lord, but you can't get there to the Vice Lords unless you go through a stone. Chief Malik Angel.
Yep,
so you got 5 kings that rule over the Vice Lord house. You used to have 2 kings, Big Bull and Angel Bay. Right? But the enemies murdered Big Bull. Right? So that left Angel Bay. Right? But Larry flipped. So the 21 brick pyramid, now there's a 20. So the moles say 20 mo. Right? But the one that flipped, they called a cold brick. That's a Scorpio knot because water in this fixed position is an ice, and the ice is a square. In the block, when it's sold by the man who say that the white man ice is colder than the black man ice.
That's why I say it's cold as ice.
Yep. So the Scorpion King rise up to protect the Virgo. Right? But first, there's Libra in the middle, which is a set of scales that need to be balanced. It's the energy between the masculine and the feminine. And by balancing the energy, you remove the scales when justice is served and the man meets the woman. And then the Virgo Scorpio becomes united once again, and it restructures the layout of the galactic map on Earth, as above, so below. So we're using the astrology and the astronomy to read the movement of the physical energy of the stars that walk on the Earth as people. And those stars are 7 sisters and 3 kings, Orion and Pleiades. Right? And the 7 sisters trump the 3 brothers. So you see the trump card that can trump the three brothers, which is three aces, has to be a joker. And the jokers are wild, right? And Rakim say jokers is wild, and if you want to be tamed, I'm going to treat you like a child, then you're going to be named another enemy, not even a friend of me. Till some chump push up and pretend to be thinking I'm a new jack, but only if you do that. They who think wrong are they who can't do that style that I'm doing. Patterns and paragraphs based on ruins. He's telling you, he's giving you back your culture if you can read the signs, because they left our culture in ruins. Shout out to the guy Rakim Allah for giving us the science.
And that's why, like, if you're playing, they say it's chess, not checkers, but really you have to learn both again, my eye. Because their game is chess. So again, in order to beat your enemy, you have to over and understand your enemy. But that's why we had checkers and then connect forward, which is what you're talking about, the four corner shuffle, right? So again, that's why you say it's kind of really it's all of that. But that's why you have to be able to over and understand the code. You have to over and understand all of the codes with it.
So we formed a treaty in Pontiac, Illinois, which gave a knock to Chief Pontiac in Michigan, telling him what his mission is. To follow up on the peace treaty of the outlaw tribe so that we can reclaim what's rightfully ours. We the people from the land that they call we the people who follow the great law. And they come in from these flying kings, which on the flip is just floating kings talking about Admiralty Maritime and swinging the flag.
Right.
We told them chiefs, we don't give a fuck about your flag. Where is my totem pole stationed at? Now we can talk about the land. If you don't know where the totem chief's at, then you don't know how to reclaim your land. You dig?
Because we got totems, we don't do flags, right?
So the totem chiefs are the chiefs that operate from the totem animals. If you look, you can see the eagle at the top. Is that an eagle or ours? The aliens at the bottom. Then you see the frog. The frog was our original navy. The original navy of frogmen used to come out the waters on the enemy. They used to roam all of the waterways of the land. They have us believing that we didn't have a navy.
Right.
But they telling their stories how they came across the navy of the old Mississippians when they tried to cross the Mississippi. So they had to go so far north to go around it before they Lewis and Clark get fucked up at the pass. You dig? So we reconstructing from all parts of the land pieces to the story on this cannonball run, chasing this drag queen across the land. The mare is masquerading as a stallion, and a stallion is a male horse. So it's telling you the story in your face, behind your back. If you don't know what the story is, then you have to sit back and observe from what we call a God's eye view, the overview. What does it mean? The physics of it all, the mechanics, the constitution. How was it made? Who put it together? What was their intentions? We was at war. How did they settle on our land if we had war? An occupying force, a military contingent. They told us the United Nations was founded in 1945 and the League of Nations failed in like 1912 or some shit. I think the date is off on that, but the League of Nations failed. So that means that there was a group of nations that was already in league until they failed. Why did they fail? Because somebody named Noble Drew Ali merged and put their secrets in the public domain. And Noble Drew Ali is working in the Red House, and Marcus Garvey come and build the army working out the Blue House. And the whole family in the March of the Matriarchs return. Right, that's the mother in the box. Yeah, that's the mother in the box. You see how they got the square around the elephant?
Mm-hmm.
That's the mother in the box. And you see over her back, they got what look like 3 teardrops. That's the belt of Orion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the dot behind that is the symbol for the sun, but it's separated by a line, which means 2 different things going on. The 3 kings got to call the sun in order to bring the matriarch out the box. It's a hijra. It's a march of elephants. But these birds keep dropping shit that's toxic on top of the elephants that's interfering with the hijra, right? So then the sisters come with the shells and tell the story.
With the elephant off because we the mother. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's
Yes,
also the symbol of the seat of Tawaret, the
right.
great
Yep.
mother who sits
Yep. The
dead
great
center of
mother.
the
And
zodiac.
that's why
Yep.
she's in the center. And that's why she's in the center.
Yep.
That's why she's in the center. That's the real. That's the real zone. That's the real astrology. The real one. Mm-hmm.
So
And
the
when you
signs
bring
of
it
the
up to Libra,
zodiac
you know,
is
you got that. Yep.
the signs of the zodiac. Zodiac means
Zoo. Yep.
zoology.
Mm-hmm.
Zodiac means study of zoology. So when you
Mm-hmm.
study in the stars and
Mm-hmm.
you study in the zoo types, you can
Mm-hmm.
match the energy in order to read the frequency, and that's how you put the puzzle together.
And
When you
also, we kind of looked at us as doulas. Speaking of
mm,
doulas, we looked at the stars, and not just this Western astrology stars, but kind of what now they've scattered in Vedic or whatever. And we would look and say, okay, this is where the asteroid Sirius is sitting, or Chiron is sitting, or whatever. You know, we would look at all of the energies. And so now what they've now called Egypt or Chemite astrology, right? So when we look at the houses, because it was really your houses or your tribes, and we say, okay, this is one from the house of Amun Ra, right? We knew this is going to be a leader. That's why, like we say, politicians or presidents, they're selected, not elected. That's why they say that, right? They choose you, you know, because we already knew. We knew as readers, as seers, those who were in the house of Aset or Isis, or those who's in the house of Sakhamet, or those who were in the house of Nut, or all those different ones. We would look at the energies all around, and we would know, because that's why if you try to translate what they've now called Egyptian astrology in the Western, it does not translate. You can't. It's hard to find a date because it was there. It was basically based off of energy. It was based off of energy, not on the date, like how Western astrology just, because time is not real. Time is an illusion. The past, the present, and the future are all simultaneously existing at the same time. So when the seed would go, not only would we look at the child, but we would look at the mother, and then we would look at the father, and we would look at the energy of the bloodlines, right? Because that's what the whole reincarnation of Aset, well, Aset, Asar, and Haru, right? Is about reincarnation, right? Was. So we would look at the energy and realize about what house you were probably coming in. And not only that, what they call arranged marriages are what we would call compatibility charts. So we would look at Osiris and we say, okay, Osiris needs a Tata Jehudi, right? And he needs to be with a Set or Isis. Because if you are a leader, we know you kind of just up there. You know, we can't just, you got to have something to balance you out. And you need a guider. You need somebody that's going to give you some direction. So just even as we're going into on March 25th, for instance, it's the Libra, you know, full moon eclipse. Eclipses come to eclipse things. It's openings, it's portals, it's doorways, it's gateways, it's endings, it's beginnings. It's going to cancel out final contracts, and it's not by accident. It's, yes, astrologically, but it's right before the Aries new moon, which is right also before Empress's coordination, because these contracts, these final contracts are over. They're ending. They're dead. I mean, of course they're dead, but it's the final cultimatum of it. So, Jehudi, the school of Jehudi, taught us these different sacred sciences like that.
do you remember you said about hold on, let me back up. I gotta backtrack in my brain for a
Okay.
second.
I know.
It was something you said I gotta go back to. Right before you said school at Tahuti.
When I was talking about the parents and the charts and how we knew like that if we had an Osiris, that we knew he needed to be with a Jehudi and the Isis, like compatibility. We didn't have quote unquote arranged marriages, like just arranged, like we knew who needed kind of be where based off of the energy. and stuff like that. I know I said that. And then I said we looked at all of the placements of the astrology and astronomy and the stars. Like when we pull what we call charts, we don't do just how Western astrology only looks at like the few planets in
Oh,
the house.
I remember what I want to talk about. Earlier you said that it's difficult to read Egyptian astrology with modern astrology.
Yeah, you can't cross over. They don't, because we didn't,
So
time is illusion.
one of the things we're not looking at is the astrology that was written in Egypt. We can learn from it, but it was written for a different epic, a different part of this eternal story that we weave in called humanity. It was a different period. So the alignments are not the same. Right. So when you try to line it up, you're getting confused. Right. Because it doesn't line up with this era. Just like in about another 90, 100 years, the Aquarian age is not going to line up with the Piscean age.
Yeah.
It's going to be slightly off. That's why when you're looking in the water, whatever you're seeing is not where you see it at. Right? It's a shift in the lens that the water does. It's like having on funny glasses. Right? Or walking through the funny mirrors. It moves stuff in a different way. And then depending on the angle of the light, it can make stuff look clearly outlined or wavy and wobbly. Optical illusion. So this is all the descriptive analysis of the Piscean age we exited out of. So we talked about narcissists earlier, right? Narcissist seen itself in the water and fell in love with itself.
Sure did, and fell in.
Got over arrogant. So his face is in the water. He can't see himself for what he really is. He's clouded by the ego.
Yeah. Come on now.
So when his face comes out of the water, he have to wait for the water to stabilize and settle.
The same waves, because the waves are always turning and moving. Yeah.
But he believe he looks horrible now.
Yes.
Because he don't know the science of the wave. He don't know he supposed to wait until the water settle in order to get a clear picture.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And water.
That means there'd be from the time that Aquarius closed and open and Pisces closed, it's a process to clear up the waters.
That's why we're saying it's a marathon, not a relay, baby. Because it's a microwave.
Right. So water is the symbol for spirit.
Yes.
This is why everybody was holier than thou 100 years ago.
Yeah. That's why you got the maritime law too. They always want to do everything over the water because they did all their illusions over that quote unquote Neptune illusionic with that Saturn Pisces Pluto Aquarius.
So now we come out of that, and what they tell us about the age of Aquarius, this is when all things be but made known. So now we're telling the story, but it's so simple that everybody understand it. But that simplicity makes it so fantastic, nobody can believe it. Right. So this is the cognitive dissonance in the reality of a thing, in the current perception being altered of the thing.
That's what we call educated fools. You're
No, you're going through the catharsis, the cognitive dissonance phase.
Yeah, because they like coming out of illusion because they've been so used to being in war. That's why I said right now what the season and energy people are in is people have been in war so long they don't know they're not prepared for peace. Like they've been, because I think I was telling you I was like what you were doing. I said I've been in my like feminine energy. I just like been loving my house and my energy, which is different because I'm so used to being in war. But I'm like I like this like little peace phase. Like this feels good. But some people are gonna have, if they're not prepared, it's gonna be a hard adjustment to be in peace. Like especially if you've been in war for a long time. Like it's okay. You don't have to always have drama or challenges or talk or. It's like it's literally it's okay. It's come on back. It's okay. We have to open the doula centers and learner centers. Like I don't know if like people watch anime. My sons are really into anime. So if you ever have watched like Hunter x Hunter or Attack on Titans, especially Attack on Titans, right? Aaron Yeager. It's this one part where he had like this whole thing where it was just war. He was born into war, right? Came in from his family, and you talk about a master alchemist and a pre-planner. He pre-planned everything, and everybody thought he was like so good. Then they thought he was so bad, but they didn't realize, because when you realize time is an illusion and you walk ahead of time, like when you become and you can be a seer and you see everything in advance, like you're walking it from the future backwards, because time is not real, right? People can't understand. And so it took into everything was at peace for his friends, for Aaron Yeager's friends. If you've already finished like season 2 of part 2 of season 4 on Attack on Titans, to realize like everything that you thought was done, because he was very meticulous in every move he made, that it was all so you could have peace at the end of the table. And it was like they couldn't even understand sometimes being at the peace in the rebuilding phase, because some people were so used to war. And that's why when we say sometimes everybody can't go, that was what he was saying when he was talking about sometimes that 80-20. The 80-20 wasn't because he just wanted to be bad. The 80-20 was because sometimes some people want to stay in war and they can't process, and they may have to cycle and come back through. So that's why I just work with those who want to work with. And that's why I be like, I literally don't have time. Like, I'm not going to even give you my energy, because energy is currency. Like, I'm just not going to do it.
My father had a saying. He say, bend the willow when it's young, because when it get big, it's going to be a big, strong tree, and you won't be able to bend it. And he was using that in reference to the rearing of children. When you recycle that warrior, he come back in as an infant. And as he develop in the new era, he'll be able to grow up learning without the war being wrapped around him. It's like if you've been in the pool all day long, and when you get out, you can feel it all in your body, and it feels different because you've been acclimated to the water. Right? Water is the symbol for spirit. So now we go into the age of Aquarius, the age of Oshun, the lady who pours the water out, which is the outpouring of the spirit. And this is, they say, the spirit of the heavenly host shall rain down upon man. Well, how's it going to rain? It's not coming from the clouds. It's coming from beyond the clouds. Right? Because Aquarius is a system of stars. Right? And the water that's raining down, the only way it can come down as in frequency and energy on rays of light. These rays of light then animate the people to perform a function to facilitate the energy transfer, and that's what they call the voodoo.
Yes.
That's the actual root to voodoo. This is why they told us it was evil.
Yes.
Because when we dress up to honor ancestors that was crossed over, we channeling as we dress up. We don't even know which ancestor it is we channeling until we get dressed up. And then he started talking. JD's Revenge, JD Walker. Right? And that tells the story of how the Conjure Man was able to reach into the future and capture another person to perform the function. They had to be related by blood or it won't work. So the chiefs all inherit the wars that the ancestor who they come in to restore, they claim they wars so that they can restore the wars back to peace and bring back the balance. This is how I get to be Chief Pontiac.
Yes.
Right? This is how Biggie get to be Sitting Bull. Geronimo Pratt get to be Geronimo. Because those old Mississippians who they said was too dumb to learn.
Right.
And made it against the law for anybody to try to teach them. Right? Them old Mississippians ain't gonna never figure this shit out. Country motherfucking bumpkins. So when we talk about the old root women, they the ones who told us, this y'all go ahead and clean this shit up. And then we'll be back. We'll be back as clan mothers when y'all get done cleaning that shit up.
Sure did.
I'm what you call the chief of last resort. I got to figure it out.
I know I'm one of the If I'm here, it was a problem. If
Look,
I don't even come back and sit, yeah, it was a problem.
my mama had me programmed from young,
Yeah.
always telling me to go figure some shit out. And when I say, how I'm gonna figure it out? She said, I don't know. You smart. I'll be like, Mama, I ain't that damn smart. This is what I be thinking in my head. Where the fuck you get that from? And then she sit back and put her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that means go sit down until the answer come to you.
That's right.
So I've been sitting down collecting all the answers.
That's why they
Giving
say
them to the
study
people.
thyself, go study, go know thyself, go study, go sit and quiet. You know, sometimes it's okay to just be quiet, listen to self. And also being up under the older mothers or somebody that, and older mothers don't even mean age, it's wisdom. Um, being the mother matriarch of the family isn't age, it's spiritual age, right? So that's why, like, even in different practices that they call Reiki or whatever, you had to sit up under what they call the teacher, or even people like Empress. She'll have to have someone sit up under her, because you had to learn, because we had to remember, and you had to get the wisdom from the elder mother. Like, I know me as a child, since I could remember, I always sat at the feet of my great grandmothers and my grandmothers, and everyone that was of older age or of